Hi, so welcome to Stoked Podcast. This is our art edition, and I wanted to introduce some of the artists that are going to be at our 20th anniversary gala and art auction. So, why don't everybody go around and introduce themselves and, name where you work out of and kind of art you do, and then we'll pass it along. Do you want to go, Christine? You want to go first, and then you toss it to somebody else?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. So I'm Christine Wexler. I'm a curator, art consultant, photographer myself, and really, excited and thrilled to be a part of this. Just have room for discussion and opinion in a world where sometimes that's not easy. So I'm really excited to help with this event with Stoked and to really bring together this collaboration and a beautiful shared experience. So thank you. Jack, you want to go next?
Right. Yep. Yep. My name is Jack Laroux. I'm an artist, painter based out of New York City, but my studio is up here in the Catskills in the mountains. And I've been working with Stokes since 2007, I believe. It's been a long time, and I'm really amped that Steve's getting back into the art realm and raising some money through artworks and fun stuff like that. So thank you very much, Lamont.
Oh, okay. Lamont Joseph White, fine artist and illustrator, New York City native, but now living in Park City, Utah for the last 13 years. I've been primarily the last probably 5+ years working with resorts in throughout the major resorts that you know about, and just helping have conversations about, well, you can't usually say this these days, but inclusion and belonging, things like that, in various spaces that I like to recreate in. Yeah, I'm just super happy to be invited. I've not worked with Steve or Stoked yet, so I am okay. I don't want to say stoked, but I am.
Cool.
Like, it was right there. It was right there. Yeah.
And
Go on, Pat.
Cabell?
Cabell rhymes with Scrabble.
Cabell.
That's the
We'll round
only ways to meet everyone. I'm Cabell Molina. I'm a mixed media artist. I live and work in Brooklyn, New York. I'm very happy to be part of this event. Thanks to Christine, who I've exhibited with in the past in Miami, actually, and I'm super happy to be part of it. My work is mixed media collage with sort of an emphasis on female empowerment. And I've been doing this for 10 years full time. And I'm excited to share my work and work with all of you all and be part of this event. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, we'll probably have Todd, another curator, hop on any minute now, but why don't we just get started? Cabell, why don't you, did I say that wrong?
It's Cabell, like just think the game Scrabble, or maybe if I talk too much, babble.
Okay.
Babble, babble, Scrabble.
Cabell, you said that you've been doing this 10 years full time. What does art as impact mean to you personally?
I think my work has changed so dramatically over the last whatever I thought might sell, because like I didn't have a vision or a direction or anything. And then there was sort of like a perfect storm, if you will, like a culmination of a whole bunch of things that collided, like personal life things and as well as political things happening in the world that I didn't agree with. And then I was listening to a lot of Nina Simone's music, and she said, the duty of an artist is to reflect the times. And so I sort of like, that was like an aha moment where I sort of shifted my direction and I started like making art from more of a personal perspective. And I think, that's created a whole new trajectory from being able to like have the confidence in my work and to feel like my vision can through my art and sort of having the self-esteem to do that now. That's sort of where I am with it. And then you asked in the second part of that question about creativity and like what that means. And to me, that means also like free thought. And I think that's what creativity, whether you're a poet or a singer or a writer, or even just like an entrepreneur starting a business, I think we need that free thought more than ever nowadays. That's
Very cool. And Lamont, what is it? How does what does art as impact mean to you, and why does creativity matter now more than ever?
For me, it's just the power of the visual medium, um, and the ability to impact where perhaps have some other mediums may not be able to in certain circumstances. So it's the power of the visual as a voice, and also seeing something that hadn't existed before is evidence for possibility starters, I think, for the viewers. I think I want to reference Cabell's point that I think in the day we live in, particularly when you get more personal or reflect the times around you, I feel like we're right now, these last several years, being more and more boxed into sort of like a uniform way of thinking, and any type of deviation from that, where creativity and I think innovation can exist and possibilities can exist, is being sort of thwarted. And it's like, no, do it this way only, or this is what it may mean to even be an American.
Yeah, fair enough. And Jack, how about you? How would you answer that question?
I would say, I live with art every day. It's in my house. It's around me. I love to create it for people to enjoy and bring joy in their life and maybe stir up some cool narratives in their head. So for me, it's very simple. It's just creating art for everybody and living with it. And in terms of creativity in the world, we need it all the time, not just now. We needed it in the past. We'll need it in the future. But in these crazy times now, I think it's like a nice relief for people to go to a museum, go to a gallery, get their mind off the social media or the news or whatever's going on in the world, and just kind of disconnect and enjoy the beauty of art.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. And for Christine, when you think about connecting art with purpose or community, what do you look for in artists and projects that tell a deeper story?
Well, I love connecting art with community, and that is one of my greatest passions. I believe that it's to create an opportunity for people to actually be able to express themselves freely, or to join in a collaboration where they're either participating in a community art event or a public viewing. It's really important even for the youth. I really love, I think at this, especially in where we are in the world today, having the youth be able to participate in things like this is so crucial, because sometimes they feel they don't have a voice or they're not seen, but yet their participation can make such an impact within their own community and empower themselves to feel like they can make a difference or they can create change. So, in my world, what I love to do with public art installations and group events and, really curating several artists together is to also, you know, incorporate these. And that's why like working with Stoked is so important, because that's the basis of your foundation is tying the two together. Whether it's through sports or art, it is free expression. I think that that's something that is sometimes you're afraid to express yourself. Creating those opportunities for anyone to either share how they like something or the way something makes them feel that they're viewing. Just creating that dialogue is so crucial for us to all really start to hopefully one day feel like one again.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Jack, let's start with you. How do you approach creating work that's personal and still contributes to a collective cause?
Because it's kind of like a diary of my life, like Picasso said, So when I sit down on a piece, I'm usually in front of it for a month, maybe 2 months. So it has to have deep meaning. And I usually reflect on my travels or some kind of storyline, and go from there with that. And then what I want people to see with the art is maybe they'll look at it and look at the title and look at what I create and be like, hey, man, I want to go to Japan, or I want to go to Amsterdam, because that's what my new series is based on. That's basically it.
And
Cabell.
Cabell, no. I was trying to unmute you. Cabell, what about you? Like your work is very deep and sort of evokes emotion. Like how do you approach your creative process?
I mean, yeah, everything I'm doing these days for the last several years is all like deeply personal. And I think it sort of comes from like the experience of being a woman, or it could be just anyone in general, male, female, and just growing up with sort of the pressure to conform, like your life being shaped sort of by other people's influences. And I think particularly with women, there's just like, and girls, young women, there's so much coming at us with social media and people telling you how to live your life or what you need to do to be worthy. And I think that's why I've always tried to create a narrative where women just in the imagery that I'm showing are like confident and a little bit defiant and not afraid to, be authentic to who they are. And that's sort of, so that comes from my personal life of, wanting to accommodate my parents and when I was young and do what they wanted me to do. And then I got married and I was a wife and a mother, and it was like, and I still had a career at that point, a corporate job, and it was like, make money, be strong, no, be soft, be maternal. There's just so much coming at us. And I think I just wanted to show like confidence and self like in my work. Like just when you look at my work, or especially if like a young woman was to look at my work, they would see someone that appears to be living their truth and be authentic.
Yeah. I love that, Cabell, because one of the things that I think is so beautiful about art is that, like, oftentimes what the artist depicts usually is a reflection of not just themselves, but is like what's happening in society. And it's just a great way to connect with people. Like you are able to visually tell a story about what's happening in someone's life. And that's a way for them to connect with your work, you know. Lamont, your work is deeply personal in terms of, um, like context and environment and diversity and like the contrast between the people that you paint and the environments in which they like. How are you approaching that? Especially, we had a recent conversation about like your new work, like this stuff that you're going towards. How would you talk about that?
Me one day, as I was, my work had been developing over the years, that I found like a thread that pieces it together where, I went to school in New York City and actually drew a lot of fashion, actually drew a lot of women. Um, and then I got in the children's wear industry as it was like a lot of kids and being a black guy who recreates on the mountains here in a very not black city, the theme that kind of always is evoking to me is belonging. I struggle with belonging as, a youth. And I think there's times when in some environments, I'm a little bit sensitive to it, where the youth, in this case, what really tugs at the heartstrings for me is that where the youth may not find a spot to belong and where they can express. Because I think once we find we belong, then we're free to express. I think that's what's so great about Stoked. So yeah, that's been the thread for me. So, and I think that, we all, in one time or another, to one degree or another, are wanting to belong. It's just a human thing. So I think that's something that resonates in some way or another with the work that I do.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. For I guess for everyone, maybe Christine, you can start here. Is why is investing in art financially, emotionally, culturally so important today?
Well, I think something that we've all touched on, right, is just that art really can really boost emotionally on your well-being and really provide, like Lamont was just saying, like a sense of belonging or a sense of community, a sense of identity, a sense of seeing yourself or seeing a place that you might want to visit or go to or somebody who you might want to be. And I feel like not only is there obviously a very strong financial piece to your question where you should be investing art now because, it really can hedge against the volatility of the market. You can diversify your investments. But I think there's also just this strong connection. Art is this powerful tool that, can really make you feel good, make you feel a part of something. And so there's a financial and an emotional, I feel like, very strong value to art, investing in it now. And also, it also really kind of documents what's happening in the moment. So to hold on to something like that and to have something that you can then reflect back on and know, wow, this has been 10 years, 20 years, a part of my living space. I see it every day and reflecting of a time. So I think it's super important for that. It's really the way things are changing so fast and time is going. Creating something to hold that keeper is something that I put great value on myself.
Yeah. Cabell, how have you, like, how, when you think about the collectors, the people that buy your art and they invest in you, like what are the sort of intangibles and the tangible things that they can get when they invest in you?
Me personally, well, I agree with everything Christine said. And I do think, that when you purchase a piece of original art from an artist, you're like filling your home with like soul and energy from someone who created something with passion from their heart. And there's all those like beautiful things that are associated with it. But, I'm going to go there and just say that like when you buy art from an artist, you're allowing them to make more art because if let's face it, like if nobody's buying your art, you're not going to be making more art. And so when you purchase original art, what you're doing is you're contributing to them being able to continue to make the world a better place by making beautiful things. And that, like simply said, we need collectors so we can keep going. So all of those reasons. But I loved what you said, Christine. It's so true about like
Thank you.
bringing that soul into your home as well.
That's great. And Jack, I know that which is so interesting because, like, if I look at your art online from where we first started 15 plus years ago, your value and your sort of evolution has changed quite a bit. Like, when you think about why people invest in you and invest in your art and how it makes them feel like that they get.
Sure. Well, my art, sorry, I kind of skipped out there, the matrix. Sorry. Yeah, but my art, it's all about energy and color and just like action sports, it's all that energy that's put into it. So when people look at my work, I like them to feel that energy and feel my lifestyle, what I do in my life on a day-to-day basis, living up here in the mountains. Yeah, I think it's very important. And with art as finance, like, I'm going to steal this from another artist. I was listening to a podcast this morning. He said, you can buy an iPhone now, you can buy some fashion now, but all that will fall out of place in the future. Art will always be with you, and you might be more emotionally attached to it as life goes on. So
Yeah,
that's it.
thank you. And Lamont, you've had the fortune of being able to have a lot of like corporate clients, right? Like a lot of the mountains purchase your work, and you've had brands purchase your art to put on clothing. And what do you think? You think the sort of value there is of being able to have your work in a sort of bigger, broader context?
Yeah, I think to steal a bit of what everyone has said, because of the sort of like permanence of a piece in a space, it continues to tell stories and create conversation. So in my case, it may be on the walls of a ski lodge in Colorado, Utah, what have you. And again, the what I do for maybe some brands may come and go in a season, but when we put our fine art on walls, there's a permanence in that investment that again continues to tell story. And over time, the story can evolve. We can reflect back on the historical aspect of it, but then can continue to evolve that story. I'm personally becoming more and more nostalgic as I get older. The social dynamics that sometimes exist in my work, those things change over time. And so then the conversations change. So I just think that art has that power to evoke, um, you know, growth in our connection in conversation.
Cool. Thank you. So welcome, Todd Mintz. Todd is one of our curators for the art auction. Todd, could you introduce yourselves, everybody, and how'd you come to this art world? And
Hey guys, Sorry, I don't one, apologies for being so late. I had a number of delays, but either way, I'm here. Met Steve recently through a good friend, Matthew Wemple, who's been part of Stoked. I've known about Stoked and have contributed over the years, but really got excited to be part of the 20th. I've worked in a couple of different capacities, but in the arts now for close to 30 years. My wife is an artist, and I have done a lot of basically bringing art to corporations, or better yet, bringing corporate dollars to the arts, and have been fortunate to work with a large number of artists directly, and then also through individuals who represent artists. So depending on what's going on, I have some nice connections there. And in this case, I'm partnered with one of my good friends who runs an agency, as well as reached out to a couple artists directly. And candidly, I don't know, Steve, if I should be saying this, but we have probably about 8 to 10 artists that we've said, hey, let's wait till the next one, because we had a lot to coordinate in a short time. But the excitement around being part of Stoked and helping raising money for mentoring, there wasn't an artist that really said no. It was more around, do they have the capacity and the times? And so, yeah, just happy to do it. I am a operator, coordinator, manager by trade, and just kind of love dealing with people. And
Cool. Very cool.
nice to meet
Well,
you.
this is a good question. This is a good question for you. Next is like, what makes initiatives like this, like a Stoked auction, powerful models for supporting artists in the next generation?
Sorry, Steve, was that to me, or you're passing that around?
Yeah, that was to you. That was to you. That was you. Yeah.
Things that are non-traditional. And I think through that, without question, the arts kind of goes hand in hand. I mean, you think so many, just think of what other sports have instruments or part of their equipment that's so stylized and involves artists. Those are them. So it's kind of like a natural thing. And I think a lot of the kids who are going to be impacted by this are naturally going to gravitate toward the arts. And I think it's an
Answer that. Like, how would they have around art and charity? Like, how, like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think of initiatives like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think they really help each other. Like, it's an amazing collaboration between the artist and the organization. I think it's really important to participate in philanthropic events. I think it allows artists to connect their work to a cause that they believe in. So it also really sheds a light on who they are as a person, what really speaks to them. And, it just, I'm sure being a part of an event, and when you know that you are making a difference, it really adds to your the artist's own creative production and process. But I think it's nice because the biggest thing that I learn with my clients is when they get to know an artist just the tiniest little bit better, like just a little more personally, they immediately become attached. And it really creates that reason why you want to buy their piece, because you do want to, like Cabell said, allow them to keep working and keeping their studio alive. Just making it a little more personal. So I always encourage, artists to participate in any sort of philanthropic initiative. And Stoked is one. I love working with kids and youth and community. So, for me, it's an easy sell. Like any artist that I've spoke to about this event, I was speaking very genuinely from the heart. So I feel like any artist that signed on sort of has the same, sort of the same energy to give. And that speaks loudly when a collector comes by and wants to ask about an individual piece, gets to know the artist. So I think it's a great way to work together and make a difference in both the artists and the program's lives.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And for the artists, how do you see your art serving as inspiration for future creatives and the next generation? Because I know that, I remember the first time I got to spend, this is 20 plus years, I got to spend time with a sculptor in Italy. And the way he spoke about his work, and especially the permanence of like a very physical structure, and his work takes a long time. He talked about, passing his work down. And that was like one of the first times I saw like art being an instrument of legacy, right? And so like when you think about the legacy of your work and your craft, I mean, it sounds like a big question, but like how do you see it impacting the future? Like how would you like it? Cabell, do you want to go?
I was thinking, in terms of like my art and how it might affect or make a difference with youth, I think not so much in terms of like legacy but my process. I think a lot of kids, a lot of people in general think I can't draw, so I can't be an artist because that's what they think being an artist is. And I think my work, I use like so many different materials. I do collage, I work in fabric. And if you look around, like these days, like if you go to the big art fairs, like the Armory Show, the prestigious art shows, there's like fiber art, there's like knitting hanging on the walls, there's like sculpture with rocks. You know what I mean? There's like so many different ways to express yourself creatively. And I think if kids knew that, and it's also like so therapeutic, even if a young person doesn't want to be an artist, it's amazing how art can be therapy and just an amazing way to express yourself, and knowing that you don't need to know how to draw to be an artist, like a visual artist. Like you can make something out of anything. And it used to be like in the old days, like it was like bronze sculptures or oil paintings, like nothing else was legitimate. It was considered like craft or something. But now like everything, it's just wide open, make like embroidery, do anything. And it's an art form. And I think more kids who would experience that and like get off their phones, like that's like a critical thing, I think, with wanting to make the art world more open to kids, is like anything that will get them off their phones and doing something that's going to build confidence in themselves versus like scrolling. I mean, scrolling and looking at like stupid videos on TikTok or whatever they do. I mean, I think this is like crucial, and I think it'd be great this program in Stoked is actually like motivating me to potentially do something where I work more with kids to give them that message that like you can make anything and anything can be art.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Lamont, what about you? What do you think your legacy and impact is going to be through your art?
Yeah, I think probably just like with any other practice that you hope to inspire, a future creative to be persistent, and in that persistence they'll find their lane. I do think that maybe that philosophy can apply to several things. But if you have the fire to create, and I'm sure as a mentor, teacher, yourself, it's probably some of what you speak to these kids through sport. But just if you have that fire, you want it. It may not be there, but if you have the fire, just keep going. And then you will see it sort of emerge, and your enjoyment of it will grow as well along the way. That's sort of how I would frame it.
Cool. And Jack, what about yourself? What do you think your legacy is?
Well, that's a great question. From the business side of it, I like to show the youth that, art is possible. You could make a career out of it. I mean, it wasn't the easiest ride for me, but it was a lot of ups and downs. I just like the sports, skateboarding and surfing and snowboarding. It's difficult. You're going to fall. You got to get back up. You got to push through the difficult moments in life. And then I think it's the same in art. And maybe there's that relationship there they can catch on to. So, and for me, skateboarding has been a part of my whole life, and snowboarding. And I met all my lifelong friends through it, and my wife on the mountain. So it opens up this gateway to another world, the sports, the arts, and you can find different business connections. And yeah, it's great all around.
That's awesome. And Todd, we were talking a little bit about, before we were saying like, why does creativity matter now in this world? Like at this moment now, like, why do you think art matters?
Wow. I mean, yeah, that's heavy, because I think it matters really now as much as it ever did, and then maybe even more so in that it's a self-expression. And what Jack just mentioned about like falling and getting up, I feel like, well, you fell because you went for something. You're not necessarily doing it just for your friends, you're doing it for yourself. And I think as an artist, as a creative, you create wholly to express something or get something out of you that you feel is, you know, representation of yourself or something you want to share with people. And I think right now, you know, yeah, people are stuck in their phones. So when you see creatives and you see the output, it resonates. And I think it's easier to align with communities now where people could be amazingly talented and sit in a little bubble somewhere in the world where now you can find your people, you know, your community. And I think it's a more powerful point of connection because it's authentic and it's real. So yeah, I mean, I think it is a powerful force. And just like, you know, yesteryear or whatever, it's got, you know, just as much merit now, and then even more so because it is helping the dialogue across all types of things that pull us apart. I think art, like music, or all forms of art, music, illustration, paintings, it brings us together.
That's cool. Very cool. So I think, you know, when I first started doing art shows 17 years ago, the crazy thing that I didn't realize was that, like, you know, we'd have people come, like, for many of the people that bought art back in the day, like, this was their first time collecting. Like, they were like early collectors. And, you know, I remember I went to a friend's house in Los Angeles, and I forgot how much art she bought, because I would go into every single room and there were different pieces that she bought through art shows. And for me, selfishly, I want to be able to have not just a connection with the person that buys the art, because I know that, like, that art that they bought, you know, helped funded something good. And at the same time, you know, there's a connection to the artist. And so with this show, my auction and what I want to do moving forward is to really foster a relationship between you all and all of the artists that are involved now, so that we can grow together, right? Like, it's not, I don't want this to be like a, you know, you donate, or there's like the separation between, you know, the collector and the artist and then the charity. There's got to be like this ecosystem where, as you grow and your career advances, that Stoked can grow, and then we can, like, grow together, and the collectors are still involved. They're still buying, they're still showing up to shows, and so that's kind of the thing. And then, you know, to be, you know, blunt and rude and honest, is like, I just want to, like, I want to create so much value for the artists that they see Stoked as this vehicle for putting their art into more homes and into more businesses. And there is that connection there. And so, like, I mean, I really hope the plan is to really to help make a market and create the market. And we are the market. We are the people that are, you know, saying what, you know, these are, you know, diverse group of artists, and this is what they stand for. And so I'm just really, really grateful for all of you to put your time, your talent, and your energy into this. And you know, it means a lot, because one of the reasons why I stopped doing art is because it was so deeply personal that I couldn't keep up because I had to work with the kids. But and I feel now I'm in a place now where I'm like, okay, like, I want to help the same way I help steward the you know, the development of young people. I want art to be the development of community building and wealth and conversation, right? And legacy. And so that's the permanence in which you create your medium and that you devoted your talents to, is the thing that I see Stoked, and even the curators, this is like a relationship that I want to be able to carry on. And the thing that I learned since doing Stoked is, like, okay, it's national, it's global. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter. Our work and your work can travel. So anyway, okay. So last question. That was my little diatribe. But could each of you share a quick message to Stoke, congratulating on 20 years of mentoring youth and what legacy means to you? Jack, you want to go first?
Am I on mute?
No, you're off mute now.
All right. All right. What was the legacy? What was the thing?
Yeah, so just congratulating Stoked on 20 years of mentoring youth, and what does legacy mean to you?
Thank you. Yeah, congratulations, Stoked. 20 years. I've been with you guys for a long time and hopefully put a lot of people up in the mountains and in the water and on the streets skating. That's been great. And yeah, I hope to continue this in the future. And I love your plan for the future. I think nurturing the artists and the groups and getting all that good money up, and up to help more kids is a great idea. And so, yeah, in terms of legacy, I just want to continue going on with Stoked and my art and helping kids out. You know, I was involved with a lot of charities back in the day in New York City, but this one really spoke to me. So when a friend of mine introduced me to you and the whole organization, I was like, game on, this is it. So yeah, let's just keep moving forward. Thanks.
That's awesome. Cabell?
20 years, and I applaud Stoked and the entire your organization for what you're doing. I think we live in a kind of a isolated, selfish, I mean, me first kind of environment, our society these days. And I think organization like this is a beautiful thing. I'm honored to be part of it. And I think you're nurturing young people, which is the future. So it's a beautiful thing, and congratulations.
Thank you. Lamont?
Oh my gosh, super honored to be connected with Stoked. A huge congratulations for 20 years of truly changing lives of our youth and creating safe spaces for them to unlock self-expression through mentoring and sport. I think it's just huge and super impactful. So I'm just incredibly honored to be collaborating with Stoked. And thanks for the opportunity of basically honoring in this day of quickly emerging AI, HI, human intelligence, right? And things made with hands and hearts and souls. To me, it's not art if it's not like in the truest form. And you're honoring that at the same time because we are in some areas of creativity competing, as you know, with AI. So in terms of your question on legacy, to me, it's just hopefully let's leave things a little bit better than when I came along. So
Great. Thank you so much. Christine?
Yeah. So congratulations on 20 years of incredible mentorship. You've created a ripple effect of positivity that will continue for generations. And thank you for the opportunity to be a creative partner. I'm really grateful for that. And, I think the most meaningful legacy is showing a young person what is possible for their future. And an event like this, an organization like Stoked, really helps that happen. And I applaud all of you for that. So happy to be a part of the team.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
And Todd?
I'll echo those thoughts. Congrats. 20 years of anything is incredible, but 20 years, congrats and gratitude and appreciation to all the people who've been involved as mentors, as mentees, and I'm sure, thousands of lives that have changed through this program and organization. So congrats. That's an amazing accomplishment and just the beginning, I guess, right? As far as legacy goes, yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit more of a today person and thinking, what can I do today that's going to be meaningful to me and to the people around me? So I think, a legacy of love and thoughtfulness is important and can be kind of carried by all of us. So again, congrats, man.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you guys for hopping on short notice too, and for being so flexible. And I'm really excited. Cool. I will talk to you guys later.